Hello, all of you out there. This is Heather Langenkamp, and you're listening to Alone in the Dark.
Good evening. This place is cursed. Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
It's Miller time.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep. It's showtime!
Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Alone in the Dark podcast. Cast. And after a nice long holiday break, we are back with episode 34, and I'm back with Matty again.
Is it 34?
34, dude.
Wow. Took us long enough.
I know. It's definitely, like I said, it's what we say the one time, it's
quality, not quantity.
quality,
right?
not quantity. So, yeah. So anyway, we're back, and
I say that to all the girls I meet, too, that aren't...
all the girls, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm married, and that's not true anyway.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Those days are long gone.
Yes, they are.
But we're pumped to be back, Matty. This is something that, you know, this episode we're about to do is something that we've been sort of, I don't know if we've been putting it off or we just haven't gotten to it, but
I don't know. It feels a little different, though, Mike. It feels we're in a very foreign, strange place.
But yeah, it's a little strange. But I'm like, this is a series that I am definitely in love with, and I know you are too. You know, so
Oh my God,
this is pretty huge.
this is long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are dipping our toes in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, which I'm super excited about. This is great.
Yeah, and that's good. That's very well put, because we are simply dipping our toe. We are not going to tell you and shyster you into thinking that we're going to completely analyze the hell out of every movie. That's not what's happening here.
No.
At all. But this is, I think, a good intro for us into the series.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great, and so we're doing our top Freddy Krueger kills, which is gonna be great. We've already done our top 13. We did our top 13 Friday the 13th kills, so this is kind of neat to just kind of step in into the waters of Nightmare on Elm Street per se.
Yes, and we're doing we're only doing a top 5. We did 13
Yes.
of Jason. We did a part 5 because Freddy was a much more efficient killer, wasn't he? And he
Absolutely.
he didn't have the numbers.
That's the one thing I learned, right? Is that we didn't. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to edit this out.
Again, this goes along with our theme, quality not quantity, right? For sure.
Yes. Well, what we realize is Freddy doesn't have a ton of kills, as many kills as Jason Voorhees does, which is kind of interesting, you know.
Not even close.
No. So anyway, before we get into it, a couple things. Just want to remind people, if you listen to us on iTunes, if you could go give us a 5-star rating, because it really, really helps us. And I want to thank all the people that have been doing that. You know, we've gotten a lot of nice written reviews, which have been great, and a lot of 5-star reviews. So please, if you could take a second, if you have iTunes, jump on and give us a nice 5-star rating. We'd really appreciate it. Right, Matty?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Amen.
Yes.
So I want to get back to what you were talking about, because I think that's an important point about this series. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Friday the 13th and the artistry that obviously goes on, for those movies to happen, for those kill sequences to happen. But for certain, this series, more than any other, really, really focuses. I mean, these kills are set pieces, like elaborate,
totally
drawn out. I mean, that involved, I'm sure, tons of storyboarding, and it's. I mean, you're talking a different world here, and it's dream world stuff. It's fantasy. It's just it's amazing, and that's why I'm glad we're really getting to this.
No, it's going to be super exciting. So one other thing I wanted to mention before we kind of talk about what we've been doing and listening to and watching and stuff. If anybody would like, putting on a podcast is not free. We have to. This is my little plug here to try to help support the podcast. But, we have to pay a monthly fee to store our podcast online, and, there's little equipment things and stuff. But we do have a T-shirt. So if you want to, kind of look cool and support the podcast and say, hey, I really love these guys. I love Alone in the Dark podcast. You can buy a t-shirt with our logo on it, and it's on a nice website where you can, use your credit card or, use whatever you want to pay for it, but it's aloneinthedark.storeenvy.com, and you can buy your own Alone in the Dark podcast t-shirt. So we'd really appreciate the support because, we do this because we love it, but it also costs us money and it will help, pay for some of these things. And you get something out of it too. You get a t-shirt that looks really cool, fits really nice. And so that'd be good.
So wrap yourself in some Alone in the Dark love, everyone.
That's it, man. That's it. And I love what's this like new tagline you've been giving us? Nibble it.
Oh, so yeah, this is our next shirt. I'm sure down the line we're going to be putting this on a shirt.
Oh, totally.
Here at Alone in the Dark podcast, we certainly love modern horror films too, for sure.
Yeah.
But for the most part, Alone in the Dark podcast, what we do here is we nibble at the nourishing nipple of nostalgia, one episode at a time.
And that
is what we do.
And I think you did that when we did the threesome episode, right? With Rochelle.
Episode 20.
Yeah.
Yes, 20. Yes.
Which I don't know where Rochelle disappeared, dude. I don't even think she follows us anymore. It's kind of sad.
Well, if she doesn't, I wish, and there's always room for her, to start nibbling the nourishing nipple of nostalgia once again, because it's always waiting.
Oh my gosh, dude. You're sick, dude. I love it.
The teat is at the ready, man, and it needs some nuzzling, some nibbling.
But anyway, we want to thank everybody for listening to us and, giving us a nice, just shout outs and stuff. And we really appreciate it. Without you guys, we really probably wouldn't do this anymore because it'd really just be me and Matt talking on the phone about this kind of stuff. And
yeah, there's so many cool people out there, even from other podcasts that give us love, man.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is kind of a nice shout out. There's a band that I'm sure most of our listeners know about, but if you don't, this is a band you should check out. They're called FKU, and they came out with an album a couple months ago, I think. I want to say, or not too long ago. But
yeah, it's 2017 for sure.
Yep. But they sent us their CD actually, which was really nice for us to check out. And the name of their album is called 1981, which is pretty awesome. And
yeah, and the fist is coming out of the ground with the knife in it.
Yes,
right?
It's like the artwork is amazing. It's beautiful stuff. So they shared that with us, which was really cool. And they've got some really cool songs on there, which is funny. Most of the songs have to do with.
Well, the album's called 1981, right?
Yeah.
So all of these song titles are horror films from 1981.
Right.
The year 1981.
Which is cool. Like Hell Night's on there.
Hell Night, Nightmares in a Damaged Brain.
Friday Part 2.
The Burning, Funhouse.
Burial Ground, Night School.
The Prowler. Yep. Halloween 2.
It's awesome. So
Evil Dead.
Yeah, that's like a bonus track, right? It's like Evil Dead bonus track.
Let me tell you something. I put this on in the car the other day. And I'm a Beatle head. People that know me mostly consider me that. But back in the day, I was, somewhat of a serious metal connoisseur. Somewhat.
Yeah.
And I really liked my metal. And I have to say, when I put this in, it was like slipping. It really is like comfort food. It's like 1980s thrash.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, not that it sounds like it that much, but it reminded me a little bit of like old school Testament. It has kind of that vibe to it, that aggressive but fun, but really, really like intense, tight, intricate, design and stuff. So it's really like kind of like an Old Testament. So if that name Testament means anything to you, you should definitely check these guys out because they're really, really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't into that kind of music like you were, but when I first listened to it, it really just, to me, it was like me being an outsider to that genre of music. It just reminded me of like old Metallica or something like that. You know what I mean? It had that vibe to it. But yeah.
But yeah, they're all over Instagram. I mean, they post videos all the time now, so just check them out. It's really cool.
They're great. And thank you guys for sending us the CD. We really enjoyed it and enjoyed all the song titles and stuff. And what a great concept album, to do. Write songs all about horror movies from the 80s. It's from 81. I mean, it's really great.
Yep. And it's listed as an original soundtrack, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. You guys got to check this. The album cover alone is worth the price.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And one thing I didn't even tell you, Matty, our good buddy Teal, the band Teal that did our theme song.
Yes.
He posted something the other day. He has a new album coming out, which I'm super excited about. And
This month, I believe, too.
yes. And I actually got a free preview of it because he posted something, asking all of the people that he knows that are filmmakers and editors if they wanted to make a video for one of his songs. So
How cool is
So
that?
I reached out to Jim and just said, "Hey Jim, I'd like to take a crack at one of your songs." And he wasn't really looking. I think he's looking more for like clips or like doing something unique where it doesn't have to be like a big production, but something like an editor could do. So I came up with a concept for one of his. He has a song called "School Dance" that's coming out, and I think I'm doing the video for it. So I didn't even tell you about it.
You're perfect. That sounds perfect for you
Yeah.
already.
So the concept, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it has something to do with old prom photographs from the 1980s.
Of course it does.
So look for that, which would be really cool. So if you guys don't follow Teal, check him out. It's like 3 E's and an L. So T, 3 E's and an L.
Hey, is Rat gonna be there, and Damone and Teen Wolf?
That would be cool. No, it's not. It's that's actually a cool concept, like movie pictures. But no, I went for reality, like real stuff. So yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Damone's not gonna be selling tickets in the back of the auditorium?
No, I don't think so.
Is that your little brother? He's a cute kid.
He's a cute kid. Oh man, I'll have to find the picture. Matt dressed up as Damone for Halloween one year. I gotta find that picture, dude, and post
that
it.
was
That was
fun.
great, dude.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
So Matt, it's been a couple months since we've recorded. What have you been watching or checking out? Anything cool like that you want to talk to our listeners about?
I did catch up with Happy Death Day finally.
Nice. What'd you think?
Yeah, I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
It's like a fun, just simple movie, with a nice little storyline, characters that you can get into.
I really enjoyed it. I think I just love the concept. It's so simple and doesn't try anything so meta or anything crazy.
Yeah.
And it delivers on the fun. It delivers on the scares. It's a really well-made movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I just watched it tonight with my son and his friend because his friend hadn't seen it yet. And I have the Blu-ray. But the cool thing about the Blu-ray is I remember hearing this on, I think, Shockwaves or something. There's an alternate ending on the Blu-ray. And I watched it, and it's amazing, like how this was gonna be the ending I heard, and then they tested it, and it was too dark and sad, so they cut it. But if you have the Blu-ray, definitely check out the alternate ending. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you're not going to give that away here, are you?
No, I'm not going to give it away. It's kind of fun to see it.
All right.
But I did just buy the mask from some company in Japan, the baby face mask. So I'm super excited. I should be getting that soon. So.
It's like the one little tooth there.
Yeah, it's pretty legit because I've been looking on Amazon and Etsy and stuff, and the ones on there look crappy. And then I found there's some company from Japan, they make it, and it looks like real screen accurate. So I'm super pumped. I can't wait to get it, put my hoodie on, and scare my wife.
Awesome. Awesome, man. So what do you got? What have you been watching?
Let's see. This is one plug that I'm so excited. I've been plugging this the past few days with you, but I just re-signed up for Shudder, the AMC horror streaming service. They have a show on there called The Core, and it's like my new favorite show, and I've just blew through all the episodes. I think there's like 6 or 7 or 8 episodes. I blew through all of them within like 3 days, but it's like a making of like horror movie show. And it's hosted by this guy Mickey, and they do these scenes where they like act stuff out, and then they have like a gore effect or some sort of effect, and then they analyze it and like show you how they did it with like an effects person, and then they interview all these like famous filmmakers and screenwriters, and it's so good, man. I wish you had Shudder so you could check it out because it's amazing.
Well, I wish I had Shudder too, so that you could shut up about it because you've been talking about nothing else.
I know, dude. It's so
past week.
good. It's so good. It's great. But so that, and then since I had Shudder, I'd never seen the movie Demons, and I was like, you know what? Let me give it a chance. I think I probably gave it up because I thought it was, I know that it's like overdubbed, but I thought it was like they were speaking Italian or something, and I was like, I can't get into this. But I put it on, and I was really, really happy with it. It was just fun, It's just like a fun, gory movie.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, the whole theater and just, it was awesome. It was a fun movie. I mean, back in the day, I saw it when I was literally like 12.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those early gateway films for me. And it was fun, like you said.
Absolutely. No, it's good times. And then you know what I just watched last night? I was super excited to see that it was on Amazon Prime, was My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Oh, man, I love that
Dude,
movie.
this time of year, man, I'm getting ready. Like, I can't wait to whip out the Blu-rays and put in the original My Bloody Valentine and the movie Valentine. You know how I am about, like, film habits. I have to watch things certain times a year. So I'm, like, super pumped, man, to blow through all my Valentine's Day movies, you know?
Yeah, I got to do some 3D love. I think our buddy Lorenzo just watched it for the first time, I believe.
Yeah,
or
he
something.
posted that he had never seen it. So I was like, dude, you gotta go do a double feature.
It's so much fun.
Especially the original was like filmed in Canada. Isn't he from Canada?
Oh, the original's fantastic.
Oh, it's so good, dude. So good, you know?
Yep.
It's great. How about you? Anything else you've been checking out?
Nah, I just want to get into this, man. Let's get into this.
All right, dude. Let's do it, man. This is exciting. So we're going to do a top 5, like we said, right? And
yes, we are.
Then we'll talk about, since like we said, there's not as many kills as like the Friday the 13th movies, the series. There's definitely fewer because they're, like you said, they were kind of bigger production and bigger sort of, bigger gags and kills and stuff. So they didn't have as many. So that's why we cut this list down to 5. But
yes.
we are, after we do our 5, we are going to talk about our ones that sort of just missed our list, right?
Absolutely, the bubble picks. Yep.
Yes, so I'm super excited. This is a long time coming, Matty.
Oh, definitely, Mike. Let me also front load this before we start here. I'm just going to read off a list of names here.
Sure.
Because these are some of the it's so elaborate, these kills and the people that are involved, that I know moment to moment, even on the Friday episode, we were kind of saying, so and so did the effects on this. There's so many people involved with some of these kills that I'm just going to read a list of some people that were involved here, and just up in the front, so we can just kind of give credit where credit is due.
Good idea.
So just a few of the names listed here for some of the special effects artists: Steve Johnson, have Christopher Biggs, Kevin Yeager, Screaming Mad George, Howard Berger, Mark Shostrom, and these aren't. By the way, these aren't John Holmes's discarded porn names. These are actually some of the brilliant makeup effects artists who helped etch their indelible mark onto this series. I mean, their artistry set a new, I can't even believe, high watermark for other artists to aspire to. There's even Catherine Fenton, Wendy Hogan, David B. Miller, David Mark, Bart Nixon, so many. So I just wanted to give them all a shout out.
Yeah, no, like you said, there's so many people that worked on this that it's almost overwhelming to be able to, like, as we talk about it, in effect, be like, this person worked on it plus this person, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't just one person. It was like a whole team almost for each gag, you know? So
right. This person did the left arm. This one did the right testicle. Like, it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yes, but very impressive. I'd almost gather to say that I'm more impressed by some of the kills in the Nightmare series than Friday the 13th. What would you say?
I would say, as far as, production and what they went through and what they did to create it, absolutely.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm excited. So let's get into it, Matty. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first, since I'm so nice about that.
Number 5.
Oh, number 5 is going to be Mark from Part 5, The Dream Child.
Nice.
So Mark is kind of like the arty. By the way, this actor is not very good, but he's supposed to be watching Alice and staying awake. But as soon as he picks up this Nightmares from Hell comic on the floor, as he's laying there with his comic spread all over the place, he's dreaming, and you also know he's a goner as soon as he picks that comic up. So this sequence probably sucked up half the budget of this entire film, I'm thinking, and it's well worth it. The comic shows, what's awesome is the comic shows everything that's transpired already in the film. As he's flipping through it, it's everything you've seen already in the movie. And the last panel that's drawn is of Mark himself as he's sitting there right then reading the comic. So Mark essentially turns into this dude, the dude from the Aha Take On Me video, and bam, he's right into the comic dream world.
Take on me.
I'll be gone. I mean, we know. So again, he's sucked into this world, and I love the stark contrast because Freddy is in this glorious black and white film, right? And then Mark is the only thing. He's in this full 80s fluorescent color,
Yep.
So, the whole building collapses where he is, like a warehouse type thing. And, Mark turns into a comic book superhero. He turns around. I don't know if you remember that scene.
Oh, yeah.
But
No, I rewatched it.
yeah, he turns around and he blasts Freddy with these, two guns he's got at his side. And so, he thinks he's a badass. It's like the turning point. And all of a sudden, Freddy just rises all buff. And he's now Super Freddy. Do you remember this?
Yeah, totally.
It's amazing. So now he just reaches out and basically slashes Mark, who's now like this paper version of himself.
Yeah, he's like paper thin, right? He's like kind of flimsy.
Yeah, he's paper thin. Exactly. And all that, one of the coolest parts here, all the color drains from the Mark figure, and just drips right onto the floor, drips out of the paper figure and then just oozes onto the floor. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So then, it is amazing. And then Freddy proceeds to slash him to ribbons. He's just looking like Edward Scissorhands, work on those ladies' hair,
Yep.
And Freddy goes, "I told you comic books was bad for you." It's pretty awesome. I mean, one of those great Freddy lines, full of imagination, artistic flourishes, pure fun. I had to include this one, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. It's very creative. You know what I mean? It's just, and I love, we'll talk about it, but the great thing about Freddy's kills are they're all sort of based on the character and what they love and what they're into, and it's almost like be careful what you wish for or what you want. Freddy's going to exploit it, right?
Oh yeah,
and you see that time and time again with the Nightmare series, which is awesome.
Yeah, and this is part 5, so they had to outdo part 4, which really upped the ante from part 3,
Yes.
which we'll get into. It just on top of itself, keeps folding and folding.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing by this time. This movie's certainly not one of my favorites, part 5, but there's some definitely great scenes.
No, and that one is definitely, that one stands out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Told ya! Comic books was bad for you!
All right, so my number 5, we kind of had this discussion when we were talking about doing this list, and I was like, well, what's off limits, Matty? Are we not doing, Freddy versus Jason? And we sort of agreed not to because we didn't include that in our Friday the 13th kills, right?
Correct.
But my question to you was, are we including the remake? And you said, yeah, I guess it's game, you know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people hate this movie, and I get it, you know what I mean? I didn't watch it until, honestly, this past October was the first time I saw it. It was on AMC. When Halloween, the AMC has their horror series, and they'll
Fear Fest.
Yeah,
or
Fear
whatever,
Fest.
yeah.
But what they do is they'll be this is the Halloween marathon, and they just show all the Halloween movies back to back, for 48 hours. Well, they did the Nightmare series, and I just like recording them because it's kind of fun to watch them on another TV. I own everything on Blu-ray, just as you probably own a lot of them too, but it's kind of fun to watch them on TV with the commercials because it's like Halloween commercials and stuff. So I sat through the remake because I remember you said no, it's terrible, and a bunch of other people told me don't even bother, but I'm like, let me just check it out. And honestly, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. You know what I mean? I get it. It's not, it's very different and it's got a different feel, but I thought it was pretty good, as far as.
Well, you know what, dude? I know revisionist history here, right? I'm going to say right now, watching it again for a second time, it definitely has a rewatchable quality, and I definitely know that I unjudged it very, very harshly.
Right.
I unjustly judged it harshly because I do what I always do is I hold it against the original, which it's not fair. It really isn't.
No, and I understand why, most people, and believe me, before I watched it, I kind of, even before I saw a frame, I was like, there's no way I'm going to give this a shot because, you can't remake an original. It's like when they remade Psycho, it's like, why bother? It's like that same feeling.
Well, for us, it's like when they made Halloween. You
yeah,
know?
Well, that's one I'll definitely never change my mind on. But anyway, I gave this one a chance and I liked it. But my number 5 kill is from this movie.
Okay.
And the one thing I loved, remember how corny the original Nightmare on Elm Street is when Nancy's mother dies at the end, where they drag that god awful dummy through the window. I love how they took that with this one and they sort of turned it on its head a little bit. So the great Connie Britton, who plays Nancy's mom in this movie, she's an awesome actress. So
American Horror Story.
Yeah, exactly. She's in that. She was in Friday Night Lights, a bunch of stuff. She's great. So, in the original Nightmare, as I mentioned, Ronnie Blackley, the actress who plays Nancy's mom, I felt like she was such an over actress, you know, like in the whole movie, just very over dramatic and sort of annoying. And I feel like Connie Britton does a way better job and a more real portrayal of a mom, of a teenage girl who is going through something. So that's, you know, I definitely kind of like the way they took her character in this film. So
I think, well, I think for just from the sidebar, I think Ronnie Blakely in that film, I think Wes did that on purpose. I think because to show you like how these kind of kids were on their own and had to figure this out because the parents were like basically these cartoonishly bad parents, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that was kind of like, but I see what you're saying though, for sure. It's just more realistic for absolute certain. Yeah,
absolutely. So
go ahead.
We all know how the original ends, you know, like I said, it's like the false happy ending with Freddy pulling that really bad dummy of Nancy's mom through the glass of the front door. I just love if you watch that in slow motion, it's so ridiculous because it's so obvious, like this really bad, you know, like inflatable dummy or something. So in the remake, we get a way more intense, scarier version of the ending. And I almost didn't see it coming the first time I saw it. So after like the long battle with Freddy, Nancy is now home with her mom. You know, Nancy's battled and she's all banged up. Nancy's mom is really tired. She tells her, you know, why don't you go up to bed, go rest, you know, like you've been through enough. And as Nancy's mom is putting her keys down on the table by a mirror, which is behind her, she says to Nancy that she's glad that she's safe. And then all of a sudden, they cut to the keys, a close-up of the keys, and then all of a sudden they show Nancy's mom in front of the mirror again, but her reflection is now Freddy, and it happens really quick. Then all of a sudden, Freddy like reaches through the mirror, you know, from like beyond the mirror, and his blades of his hand go right through Connie Britton's eyes. And it's such like, it happens so quick. It's such like a great jump scare. And it's like,
it's jarring.
Yeah, it's like, if you go back and watch it, you see him in the reflection, but if you're not really focused, you don't even know it's him. And then it's too late. His knives are through her eyes. It really just kind of startled me. You know what I mean?
Yes, for
sure.
sure.
And I thought it was like a super creative kill. And, you know, even it's with the remake that definitely has some problems and it's not as exciting as the original and it doesn't have the nostalgia factor. I thought it was like a really good kill, you know what I mean? And a great way to end that movie, you know, which was kind of a dud, I feel like, in the original, you know?
Number
4, I have a feeling we're going to be maybe hearing about this, but my number 4 is Philip from the Dream Warriors Part 3.
Oh, yes.
So this scene, we're going to be talking about this, I have a feeling, at a later date in time as well.
Yes.
When we do something else.
We'll announce that. We'll announce that at the end of this episode.
We'll get there. So I love, this scene is just, it begins with like this faceless marionette that's hanging on the wall, right? And it morphs into Freddy's face. And I love how Freddy seems more gleeful than menacing, you know, as his little claymation ass cuts itself down off the wall, and Philip and Kincaid's room there. And this is like the Wallace and Gromit Freddy moment of the series, you know? So I could just see the producers going, you know what? Let's do Jason and the Argonauts. Let's ramp up the Harryhausen factor, you know? So and it reminds me a lot like, you know, Clash of the Titans and the Harryhausen stuff, you know? So to me, ultimately, this scene embodies what I call it the brackish moment. So brackish is like where salt and fresh water mix. And I think this is where I get that from. And for this is that this is kind of where like the old Nightmare on Elm Street movie and the new Nightmare on Elm Street movie like coexist in this scene.
Right.
It straddles both worlds, the terrifyingly real and scary and the old world, and the imaginative, hyper-stylized, fantastical new world that's being ushered in like in this film, essentially.
Yep.
This is the birth of the second wave of Nightmare on Elm Street, and the budgets grew from here, and the death scenes became, you know, these elaborate, like I said before, these elaborate set pieces. But few scenes in the Nightmare on Elm Street canon have done it better than this. Like as Freddy rises to his full height, he wastes little time like inflicting his painful reality right on Philip. He's slashing and gashing, and we don't quite know exactly, you know, we see the cuts, and, you know, when you finally see them, the merely suggestive becomes, you know, this bloody and visceral scene. We know what's coming next, but, you know, how far is it going to go? You know, Mike, like I just never knew, like, are they, okay, they just did that. All right, they did that. Now, where is this going? And Philip stands at attention, and he begins his stroll, as Kincaid called it. Have a nice stroll, asshole. And he goes back to sleep. Kincaid's just worried about rest, man. He's freaking out during the day, so he needs his rest. So he keeps strolling right down the endless hallway, right? He keeps going past the night nurse. He goes through the door in that one scene, and he goes all the way up to the top ledge of the upper floor of the hospital, and everybody's screaming at him from below, and Freddy cuts his strings, and then down goes Philip, man, all the friggin' way down.
Number 4, I'm kind of going backwards from the remake, working my way back slowly. But my number 4 is Carlos's death from from Freddy's Dead, Nightmare 6, the final nightmare. Yeah. And like I said, I went through all of these in October just because they were.
What, Mike? What? What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Carlos's death from.
What? I can't hear you. What?
Dude, it took me a second. I should have caught on to that, dude. You're
sorry, man. I have a Q-tip saver shoved through my head.
God.
I'm sorry. I couldn't.
So,
hear you.
dude, what's with horror franchises, especially Nightmare on Elm Street, like killing off disabled people? First we
just like. Yeah, like Freddy 2, like Friday 2 with Mark.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. First we had Mark in his wheelchair, and now we have Carlos, a poor guy living, in the early '90s with a hearing problem.
Well, no, Mike. Who has the bigger problem? The people that made these films, or you and I, who are picking these as our favorite kills, dude?
Yeah, I know.
Let's analyze.
Matty,
let's analyze.
Yeah, who's worse, right? Oh my gosh.
Holy shit, dude.
But anyway, so. At one point, Carlos loses his hearing aid in Freddy's dream world, of course, and he's frantically looking for it so he can hear again. And I love he's screaming like, "Give me my hearing back!" Like he's just screaming, and it's just messed up.
It is, man.
And Freddy is happy to give it back, so he drops Freddy's up on like a ledge or a balcony or something, and he drops his hearing aid from the balcony, and Carlos desperately chases it and almost like falls to the next level down, and he gets it right before it falls. So he's so excited, he puts it in, he shoves it in his ear, and he's like relieved, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it turns into like this, like it looks like a bug or something, right? It like attaches, like it like molds to his ear, and he's like, Carlos is in pain. He's like, so
now it's like super magnified.
Yeah, now
right?
it's like this like crazy uber like hearing aid. So he hears everything amplified like so intently, right? Any little noise, like I think there's like a faucet dripping, and it's driving him so nuts that he has to run and like turn it off. And it's really clever with the sound design what they did with this, this whole scene, because they just made everything really loud. So I love Freddy, of course, has got to mess with him a little bit before he kills him. He takes out a pin from his balcony.
Yeah, the one single pin.
Yeah, and he drops it, and Carlos listens to it falling, and it's like so loud.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
Oh my God, and he catches it, right? And Carlos is like, "Oh, thank God, I caught it before it hit the ground." So Freddy must have went to like Staples or somewhere, because all of a sudden he pulls out a handful of pins.
Well, it is a dream, so.
It's true. He can do whatever he wants. Of course, Carlos can't catch all of these, but, Freddy drops all of the pins, and, what's going to happen. They hit the metal floor, and it sounds like a bunch of tools are, like, smacking on the floor, as loud as possible.
Yeah, this is classic, man. I mean, go ahead. I'm finished.
No, it's good. It's just like I love the building of this kill. It's great. So Carlos catches up with Freddy. He's kind of like running around to try to figure out how to stop this, from this crazy noise. And then I love Freddy just like kind of like is holding this small little cool blackboard, and
oh yes,
he magically like pulls it and makes it really big. It's just kind of funny. It's just like, can stretch this little chalkboard and make it into a big one.
That's classic.
And then, of course, what does Freddy have on his hand? He has these awesome knives. So he scratches the chalkboard, the awful noise that a chalkboard makes when you kind of scrape on it. And, of course, it's as loud as hell. So it's driving Carlos insane. And the pain is so humongous until, like, Freddy's almost like an orgasm. He's just like going, he's scratching back and forth. And then he goes so much, and he does one last one, and Carlos's head just explodes. Dude, it's the best.
Yeah, man.
It's
what an
oh
ending.
My God, it's so good. But this is like, this is way into when Freddy was an icon, and it was more of like he was like a comedy kind of a monster. And this scene just always made me laugh, but it was still a little scary when I was younger. But what a great creative build to a kill,
Oh, dude. So I mean, first of all, really, really great pick. Really,
Thanks.
one of the more creative kills in the whole series.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
I liked it.
And definitely in this film, I don't enjoy it.
No, it's not a great film, but
it almost makes it single-handedly worth it just to watch this one sequence.
yeah,
And how Nightmare, uses, the series itself. They always use those puns, you could hear a pin drop. So of course he's got a handful of pins, and to use that pun and turn it on its head into something
it's so
hilariously
funny.
funny. And then the chalkboard. It's like anybody who's not a millennial would understand, and went to Catholic school would understand that joke probably more than other people.
Oh yeah, because it used to happen. The chalk
Right.
would just scrape a certain way, or it wasn't like
Yeah.
worn down enough, and everyone would be like, "Oh God,"
I mean, hell, I had nuns that would do it on purpose and make those sounds so that we would annoy us, so we'd pay attention,
No.
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Number 3. So I have number 3 comes from part 4, The Dream Master, and it's Debbie.
Oh, nice.
Debbie the health nut. This is in a film full of unbelievably rich, creative, artistic kills. This is the centerpiece of this entire film, I feel like. She's working out, she's lifting weights as what's her name? The main character. God, I can't remember her name now.
I can't think, but
And-
they're
and
like
Alice and Dan.
they're like stuck in like a
couple.
time warp or something, right? Like
Exactly.
a loop.
They're looping. Yep, they're stuck in an endless loop where she keeps running around the side of that store and ended up in the truck. We got to go. Okay. So she puts on the Sinead O'Connor song. Put 'em on, put 'em on, put 'em on me. Put 'em on, put 'em on, put 'em on me. It's a freaking classic. Sounds like Prince wrote it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't. I think he has an uncredited
He
song
might,
for sure
yeah.
on this song. But the coolest shot, man, as she lifts the barbell like the second or third time, you could see Freddy's face reflected on the side of that silver weight.
Yes.
Beautiful. And then he's Debbie's spotter, and she tries
Oh my God.
and she's trying to prevent him from pushing the bar down and crushing her. And he's like, "No pain, no
Oh, I love
gain,"
that.
and her arms tear open at the elbow,
It's so disturbing.
and then her forearms just fall right off as these pro thoracic legs sprout out in their place.
Oh.
So now she has these enormous jointed legs sticking out of her, her shoulders as well. Meanwhile, we said, Alice and Dan are circling in this endless loop.
Yep.
And Debbie realizes that she's in a roach motel of sorts.
Yes.
So she fucking face plants into the sticky substance that
it's the
coats
worst.
the bottom, the trapping
Yep.
agent, if you will. And then her face slides off, and she's just completely this insect roach creature now. And Freddy's enormous eye is peeking in the side as he utters the words that our generation and probably the one before knows so well from the Roach Motel's fancy, package and the super aggressive commercial and ad campaigns. You could check in, but you can't
It's
check
so
out. Remember
brilliant.
that?
Yep.
Yeah. So of course they take that, and Freddy finishes by crushing the motel in his hand. As a vomitous, disgusting liquid spews out the side.
So gross.
So Screaming Mad George actually is responsible for this sequence as far as like organizing the effects and kind of, almost conducting it, I would call
Right.
it. And this death sequence ups the ante again. Like I said, pretty much established in the Philip sequence in Dream Warriors. This ups the ante to another echelon completely. And it raises the bar, no pun intended, to new artistic heights. And sick, it's giddy, it's just flat out fun, man.
It's like it's got to be one of their bigger set pieces, and like another great build to a great kill. You know what I mean? It's an awesome pick. I love it.
No pain, no gain.
So my number 3, Matty. Now we're getting good here, Matty.
Put him on, Mike. Put it on, man. Give me your number 3,
All
Mike.
right. Well, now I'm slowly working down, dude. So now we're getting into some good territory here. My number 3 comes from number 3 from Dream Warriors. It's Jennifer's death in
Jennifer.
So I love this kill so much. So Jennifer is like the original binge watcher. You know, she sits on the couch and smokes her cigarettes. She watches her favorite shows, including Dick Cavett, while she puts out the very cigs that she is smoking onto her arm to stay awake, which is
and
great.
I wonder if she's doing it to avoid dreaming about Freddy, or because she's so addicted to television. Like, straddles that line. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what I kind of like never realized, but I kind of put it together. Most of these kids in Weston Hills Psychiatric Hospital are children of the parents that killed Freddy, right?
Still going with that, right? At this point.
Yeah. So Jennifer is one of those kids, right? So the only reason she's in Weston Hills is because she thinks that Freddy's trying to kill her, when, you know, in reality it looks like she's trying to kill herself. So that's why they kind of shoved her in there.
It's pretty genius.
No, it is. It's clever. So, you know, maybe your parents are to blame because they were one of the parents who killed Freddy back in 1968, right? Isn't that the year that they all killed him? I think.
Is that it? 1968.
I think so. Yeah.
She's like the dude from Dream. Remember that old TV show on HBO, Dream On? He's this kid who just sits in front of the TV and soaks up all the references.
Yes, totally.
Endlessly. That's like true. She reminds me of.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like me as a kid
go ahead.
too. But, so, you know, but as a fan, Jennifer's demise is one of the best kills, not only in Nightmare on Elm Street history, but dare I say in horror history. I really, really enjoy this one a lot. So
you do dare.
So Freddy loves to play on our hopes and dreams, and all poor Jennifer wanted was to be a TV star, right? She always talked about, I'm going to go to Hollywood after I get out of here. So as she sits watching TV, trying to stay awake, Freddy takes over as she drifts off, and she's watching Dick Cavett, as I said. Dick Cavett is interviewing Zsa Zsa Gabor. Remember Zsa Zsa Gabor?
Zsa Zsa.
So Dick turns into Freddy, and Zsa Zsa, right?
It's Zsa Zsa.
Zsa Zsa, thank you. Zsa Zsa gets what's coming to her. So Jennifer sees this, and then the TV kind of like cuts off, right? It like goes to static for a second. Jennifer stands up and walks towards the TV. So,
Mike, by the way, there's so many puns in what you just said. I'm just going to let you keep going. I mean, you'll hear it later. But you're talking about a guy named Dick, and she gets what she's coming. Keep going.
That's kind of the point here, Matty. But anyway,
all right.
So Jennifer stands and walks towards the TV. Don't do it, Jennifer. You know, that's what everyone's screaming at the movie screen at this point. Then Freddy's head comes out of the top of the TV, right between the antennas. Remember antennas, Matty?
So
oh my
genius.
God! And picks Jennifer up, and he's holding her like her head. And he gives one of the best lines, I feel like, in Elm Street movie history. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Oh, man.
Come on, Matty. Mic drop. Boom. Awesome. It's
total mic drop.
Just awesome.
Right there,
I love it, dude. This is like one of I love this movie so much. You know, we both do. But that kill, you gotta admit, Matty, it's pretty tremendous.
So, Mike, I'm thinking this is at number 3. I mean, what you just talked here, you said one of the best kills in horror films ever, and it's number 3. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going to be above this.
Yeah, like I said, I really, really enjoy this one, and I think I put it 3 maybe because it's part 3. I don't know, but anyway, we'll figure it out.
So anyway, you know what's cool though is that I've seen this film. I've seen the movie The Dream Warriors Nightmare 3 about
1 million times.
30 or 40 times.
More than that. You've seen it more than that.
Well, maybe. I mean, but I've seen this sequence probably 4 times as much as that, because when I used to have the tape, I used to just rewind and like literally watch this scene over and over again.
It's great. And the effects are great too, right? Like I feel like, it definitely holds up. When Freddy's head comes out of the TV, you can definitely tell it's like a model. It's not like, but I think it looks really, really good.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Right, so my number 2 is, we're going original NOES here. We are going Tina.
Dude.
So that whole sequence, dude, is
horrific.
I mean, the way you talk, the way you talk about the Jennifer scene. I mean, this scene just so cinematic, and just the word perfect, it doesn't even match it. I wish there was a word that meant more than perfect, because that's what this is. First of all, the suspense, it's just so damn quiet when she steps outside in the sequence. it's so quiet, and like the night is like punctured by this gravelly sound of someone, calling her Tina. And just hear it like low at first, and then the garbage can lid rolls toward her, and we see that enormous shadow of Freddy, with the elongated arms.
Oh my God, so cool.
And she whirls around, and he's still shrouded in darkness. He doesn't reveal himself. Like he doesn't. That's what's so great about it. He's always hiding in this darkness or these shadows. They don't want to show you, and they tease him like so many times.
Right.
And the elongated arms, dude, it is cartoonish, and yet somehow it's like those arms could just reach just far enough to grab your heart and stop it cold in your chest.
But that scared the shit out of me, dude. That scene with the
God.
arms scared me so much when I was a kid.
I'm telling you, dude, like the first of hundreds of classic, by now, Freddy lines, when he holds his glove up and he goes, "This is God."
Oh my God.
Oh, I was just chilling, as you can, finally glimpse. That's when you kind of first see his horrifying face, like full on.
Absolutely.
Like crazy handheld camera work as she's running, and you feel like you're running for your life, trying to escape this nightmare. She peels his face off. And then, as if we haven't seen enough, Mike, as if, could have stopped there and I would be half dead from fright. Then what I call the nightmare ballet death scene. The most prodigiously intense sequence ever filmed, dare I say, ever filmed in a horror film. Outside of The Exorcist, I'm calling it, this is one of the greatest, executed scenes. So her screams are terrifying enough, Mike, but when a buff dude like Rod is reduced to his own pitiful guttural yelling of "Turner, Turner," as she's sliding up the wall onto the ceiling, with her blood just smearing the patterned wallpaper in her wake. Oh my God, just please, I'm just like, make it stop.
I know, it's awful.
And then the gore in the room as she lands finally onto the bed, and a pool of blood drenches Rod, is like this horrible splashing sound echoes across the room. I mean, this film's just getting started, Mike, and I'm emotionally exhausted. This is perfection. This scene, perfection.
It's crazy. It's
and this is only number 2.
It's unbelievable. This is like the movie that, like my son is really into horror movies now, so we'll watch certain things, like we watched Happy Death Day, and but this is a movie that I can't let him watch yet because it's just too much, right? It's just like.
This movie, I wouldn't go there yet.
Yeah,
man. I wouldn't.
It's awful. Some of the scenes are so real and so terrifying. It's just like
you nailed it, dude. And it's the realness. Like they set these characters up, right? You know them. They're like your buddies. They're people in high school. They're people everyday people.
Yep. And the kills are just so like There's no humor to it at all,
No, not this one.
No, it's amazing how the series sort of changed and turned,
And the equal scene in the remake, the one of Chris,
yes.
it doesn't hold up to this one at all.
No, that's definitely
not even close.
It's different for sure.
Not even close.
Please, God.
This is God.
So my number 2 is also from the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh, nice.
And it's our buddy Johnny Depp playing Glenn, his death scene.
Glenn.
Yes. So, when I was a kid, my favorite thing to do was fall asleep watching TV. I used to just love it. That was like.
But let me ask you a question, Mike.
Yes.
When you fell asleep, did you have a 30-pound thing perched on your balls when you fell asleep? Because that's where Glenn has his TV.
No, but you know what's
perched
funny?
On his fucking sack.
I have one of those TVs still. The orange TV I have up in the podcast room? It's like that exact TV, pretty much. It's not orange, but it's like that same TV,
you put that thing right in your junk, right? When you slept, you just perched it right on top.
It's like that's like the 80s version of the iPad, right? You can like watch movies on your iPad. He's watching movies with a TV on his lap. Oh my God. So I remember, watching my favorite show, like Amazing Stories or something like that. And then, passing out, and then magically I'd end up in my bed. My parents would carry me upstairs, not when I was a teenager, but when I was a young kid,
I was going to say, dude, that's pretty odd if your parents doing the fireman's carry up your friggin' long
No. This is when I was
staircase.
young. But anyway, but from that moment, I would always love, even down in my basement, I would love just putting on a movie and just passing out. Even to this day, like, my wife will be watching TV downstairs. I love going up to our bedroom and I'll just put on something and then fall asleep to it. It's just kind of nice. It's just relaxing to me. But.
Glenn wasn't so lucky though, Mike. Finish.
But you always remember hearing that song at midnight. Remember that song when at midnight when the broadcast day was over and you'd hear that song?
You guys type of song?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, there was that song that always played at midnight. But there were two movies that always made this harmless song a super scary song, and Poltergeist was one, because that's kind of how the start of the movie happens, right? That's like where the big
genius.
That's where the big, the big moment comes where, the ghost starts speaking through the TV, but that song. But then also, that's what Glenn is happening to Glenn. He's listening to this song. It must be midnight, and this song comes on, and then all of a sudden, here comes Freddy. So,
well, initially he has his headphones on too, and his mom yells at him right when she first comes in.
Yes, that's true.
Because he's doing double duty. He's got his headphones on.
Yeah, which I think he is. I think he is when he gets killed too. I think he's got his headphones on.
Who knows what he's listening to?
Yeah. So
I know what I actually do know what he's listening to.
What?
Put him on, man.
That song wasn't out yet.
No, it wasn't, guys.
So, Glenn liked to fall asleep watching TV just like me. And I love how he falls asleep with the TV on his stomach like we talked about. It was just crazy. And I guess his mom never told him that sitting too close to TV was bad. But, that song that's playing as he falls asleep, and then all of a sudden Freddy's hand comes out from the bed and pulls him into the bed.
Hey, jerk, sleep kills.
Dude, I love this effect. It's so cool. It's like, they had a hole in the bed, I guess, and they pulled him in, but he gets pulled into the bed. Like, and if it wasn't bad enough, the TV and the stereo gets pulled in too. He's got the TV in his lap, that goes in, and then all of a sudden he's listening to music from his big stereo. Not, this isn't like today's where you listen to music on your iPhone. He's got like a huge console stereo and it gets dragged into the bed. It's so great. It's so great. But
so he's probably killed from the weight alone from his equipment.
That's pretty much. Or he gets bonked in the head by his stereo as he's going in. There's a scene that they intercut with Nancy, and she knows that he's dying, right? She kind of knows, like, he's got to be dying. So
is that when her mom's talking to her in the background and she's just screaming his name?
Well, she's screaming his name, but the best is if you look closely, you see Nancy's mom passed out on the couch, and she's just like hitting the couch cushion with her arm, like, shut up. It's so great, dude. If you got to watch it again, dude, it's so funny.
That's right, because she's got the bottle.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's it. She's
drunk,
on the couch with the bottle, and she's like hitting the couch cushions as Nancy's screaming at the top of her lungs. She won't even wake up, dude. It's so great. It's really funny. But anyway, so that's, you think that's traumatic enough. He gets pulled through the couch. Then all of a sudden, the blood starts shooting out from inside the couch.
Dude, this scene, doesn't it rival like The Shining with the blood coming down the stairs and the hall? It reminded me of that.
Oh my God, dude, it's insane. It's crazy. So the blood just shoots out like a fire hose. Oh, yeah, it's so unbelievable. It's such a cool effect, and I love the behind the scenes, like they did this in a rotating room, where the room's rotating and the blood's like dripping on the ceiling walls, and then it's like pouring elsewhere. Right. So Glenn's mom comes in and sees this, and she's freaking out. It's just so traumatic and crazy for her. But the worst part is, then Glenn's body comes up from the bed.
I know.
And he's like, it's so disturbing to see because he's almost like
he's wrapped in the sheet, right? He's like encased, the sheet's like stuck to his face almost.
But he's like
bubble wrapped.
Yes.
He's like bubble wrapped.
But he's like limp. You know what I mean? He's like being held up in the air, and he's like limp. It's so disturbing. Then he just like gets tossed down. But just seeing just the effects itself and how it built into just the small thing of him being pulled through the bed, but then all of a sudden the blood and it's crazy, man. Unbelievable.
It is. I mean, and listen, the lesson learned here. When your beautiful girlfriend with her large wisp of gray hair from being up for 7 days tells you whatever you do, don't fall asleep. I don't think I would lay down on my comfy bed surrounded by pillows with my headphones and TV on, because that's a surefire way to fucking fall asleep.
Yeah, I agree, Matty. I agree.
Mike, not for nothing, but the the immediately following this kill is I've never noticed this. It's subtle, but I swear to God, this is the first time I've ever noticed, and I've seen this movie 30 times, but the ambulance pulls up and the EMTs hop out.
Yeah.
And they're going with they're running the stretcher inside, and the cop that's right there in the driveway goes, "You won't need a stretcher up there. You'll need a mop."
Oh my God.
Did you pay attention to that line?
No.
Dude, it's fucking brilliant.
Wow.
But I never even knew it was there. He's like, "You won't need a stretcher up there. You'll need a mop."
Holy shit.
I'm like, oh my God. Dude, it's powerful. You're like, it's like, where did this come
Dude,
from?
that's insane. That's nuts.
Is my number one. Now, Tina probably could easily be my number one, as could any of these, really. Philip and, as well. But my number one is my number one because I actually saw part 2 before I saw part 1. Yeah, so I definitely saw Nightmare 2 first. And that school bus, man. Every time I saw a school bus when I was... And I wasn't a bus rider. I did not take the school bus. But every time I saw the school bus, I fully expected Freddy to be driving it every time the doors opened. So Ron Grady from Nightmare 2 is my number one pick.
Ooh, good one, dude.
Not too many kills in this film overall.
No.
There's not a plethora of death in this movie. And there's certainly no elaborate setups. And then you get to Grady's death scene. What a friggin' setup. I mean, Jesse's sleeping over, remember this?
Yes, yeah, I totally do.
And it's so funny because from the beginning of the scene, you're like, okay, so Ron's he's a bully, but now he's sleeping over his house. So I guess they're strangely friends. It's a very strange relationship.
It is. It's very weird. And didn't he his girlfriend wanted him to sleep over or something, and he was like, no.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, I'd rather sleep over Grady's house, and I know why. Because when you see Jesse falling asleep, you're looking at Grady. He's got this like cuts a nice little figure. And he's watching his TV half-heartedly. He's got this nice little TV, this beautiful bedroom, and he's laying down to go to sleep on like his fucking 800 thread count sheets. So listen, I mentioned foreshadowing a lot on this podcast. I know I do. But Grady, when he pulls his black comforter over his body, Mike, it looks like he's zipping himself up into a body bag. I swear to God. I'm not even kidding you. Go back and watch that scene. Oh. It looks like he's literally putting himself into a body bag.
Oh my gosh!
If that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is. But this whole sequence, I got to give it up for what's his name, Jack Shoulder. Is that the director's name?
I think so.
Who did Alone in the Dark?
Yes,
he did Alone in the Dark. He did this film, and listen, the clue is right there. He's zipping himself into a body bag. You know what's coming. So back to the setup. So Jesse jolts awake, and he starts moaning, and then you hear Grady's voice. Fuck's wrong with you, dude? And these knives shoot out of Jesse's fingers, and then skin peels away, and that half Jesse, half Freddy guttural scream. Do you remember? Like,
yeah.
Dude, it's so disturbing. And then Freddy literally comes out of Jesse's midsection.
Oh.
And what does Grady do? He starts screaming for his dad. Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Fucking pounding on the door, and that's when Freddy rises up to full height, like. Just no hat on, and then he kind of fills the whole frame. It's just a great shot.
Oh my God.
As he rises up. We're like almost an hour in here, and up to this point, not like I said, not many people have eaten it here. And then outside the door, Grady's dad and mom, they show up, right?
Yep.
And then Freddy pops his hat on, ever so slowly and just casually, and with this most malicious smile that he's ever smiled, I think, in any of the other films. The music's rising, and then the violins and the score, they're right out of like Burnt Offerings or The Sentinel or some 70s film. They start yelling and crying out and pinching, and it's nasty. And then Dad starts pounding on the door and with more urgency. And then Freddy grabs Grady's neck. Dude, it's just like this big sequence. It just keeps building and building and building. You're like, okay, so obviously he's going to die. But then you're expecting this horrific scene, and instead what you get is that awesomely amazing shot from outside the bedroom as Freddy's knives explode through the door, right? And they're all filled with Grady's blood.
Oh, dude, it's so clever. I love that effect.
Eerie, man. The blood, and the blood's pumping through the little newly opened slits in the door. It starts pumping and pulsing. Oh, it's nasty.
Dude.
About this, man, the way it's built, the helplessness, the worst part, the helplessness. The parents are there and they can't do a goddamn thing to help him.
Yeah, they're right outside the door. They're that close.
They're right there.
You know what I mean? It
just deeply affected me, man. This scene just messed me up, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's funny. I never was into part 2, but that's another one that I revisited and sort of got into a little more. You know what I mean? I could appreciate it as far as what they were trying to do. It's like almost like Freddy was taking over this boy. And how
I've always had a fondness for it, always, because I saw it first, and I think that really this was my introduction into the Nightmare on Elm Street world. So I think that's why I kind of have that, affinity for it.
And I like how they made it in a male figure instead of a female figure as like your final girl, your final boy per se,
Right.
It was definitely cool.
Yeah.
No, and I the relationship, I know all the homoerotic undertones and stuff, but I love the friend relationship with him and Grady. You know what I mean? It just had like a.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's got a good vibe to it.
When they're doing like the push-ups together and stuff.
It's cool. It's good.
Yeah, I really do. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, it's good, man. It'd be great instead of Freddy if it was like Lisa from like Weird Science, since that actor who plays Grady's in it. Weird Science.
Exactly.
Lisa.
Yeah, he is.
It'd be awesome.
How much longer do you think he's going to keep us out here?
It could be all night. The guy gets his rocks off like this. Hangs around queer S&M joints down.
My number 1 was your number what? 3 or 4, Philip?
4.
Yeah.
4?
So my Philip was mine just because Dream Warriors was always my favorite out of the Nightmare series, as is most people. You know what I mean? It's just one I think that a lot of people gravitate towards because it's got so much going for it.
Yeah, great pick, man. Great pick.
But, I'll just say a few things since you've kind of talked about it a lot. But, I just love the innocence of the marionettes, you know what I mean? And it's like the scene is so cringeworthy for me. And as a kid, it was really hard for me to watch. It was one of those scenes that I couldn't watch all the way through. I'd watch it in pieces, because it was just so disturbing to see, So, all Philip liked to do is make marionettes and sleepwalk. So I guess he got the best of both worlds when Freddy got a hold of him because he got to do both.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you, what was worse for you, seeing the veins coming out of Philip's arms and legs or watching him being pulled and walking down the hall by Freddy?
I don't know. I think the pulling part, I guess.
The pulling? Yeah,
Pulling,
when those veins come out for me, man, that was awful.
The feet, feet veins are bad. That was
it's so
bad.
disgusting, and the effect looks so good,
It
as
really
far as
does.
that's all practical, man. That's amazing stuff. It looks really, really good. This is like a scene that people should watch to be like as an argument of practical is the way to go.
Oh yeah, man. It was just fantastic. I mean, like I said, it was my number 4, Mike, but it easily could have been 2 or 1.
Yeah, totally. And the tower that Philip is tossed off by Freddy?
Yes.
Did that look familiar to you at all?
Is it the University of something?
I think it's UCLA, and I'm pretty sure it's seen in a bunch of horror films, but one of them that you will know very well is Scream 2.
Oh yeah, for
so
sure.
If you watch Scream 2, you'll see that tower again, which is kind of cool.
Mike, I mean, great pick. But since I am, nibbling the nourishing nipple of nostalgia, I had to go back a little further.
It's all good. It's a good one. So you talked about it a bunch, so I'll end it there. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my number 1, and I'm super psyched.
Philip. The kid with the glasses.
Yes.
With the kid.
Oh my God, he's like Harry Potter.
Oh.
Don't do it! God,
Oh.
It's great. What a great movie that is,
Oh,
and
yeah.
speaking of, Matty, you want to announce what our next commentary podcast is going to be?
Yeah, surprise. We are venturing into another commentary, and it's going to be the Dream Warriors.
Yes,
commentary.
super excited. This is
Dream Warrior.
This is one that we've been talking about for a while. I think when we first started doing commentaries, we were like, we have to do Dream Warriors at some point. So we're going to try to have it come out right around the time of the anniversary, which I think is like February 25th or 26th. I can't remember the actual date.
It's right around there. Yeah, I believe so.
So for the anniversary, we're gonna give you guys a commentary. So we're super excited about that, which will be super fun. You know.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's get into our honorable mentions, Mikey, and wrap this beautiful package up.
So go ahead, real quick, Matty. What are some of yours that you'd like to just touch on?
Well, we talked about some of mine. I talked about Carlos from Freddy's Dead, and Glenn was actually one of my honorable mentions. Yep. As was even Rod from Part 1 was really clever with the way he was in the jail with the
yeah, when he gets hung. Yep, totally.
So simple and so effective. I love that. Yep. I think that's, like I said, it's nothing elaborate, but it's definitely a really cool kill. Yeah. I love, and Taran from the
that was one of mine too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too with the hypodermic needles.
Let's get high.
Yes. We will definitely get into that.
Yes, totally.
So another one I really, really like, Mike, and there's two more I have here. One was Sheila, the asthmatic girl from Part 4 of The Dream Master. Love this one.
Oh, which one was
She's
this?
in class, and she's taking her physics test, and she's sucking on her inhaler, and she's
yeah.
And the formulas start scrambling around in her paper, and then the words form. Learning is fun with Freddy. and her pen starts dripping blood, and then Alice is, because Alice takes them all into her dream. She's like, she's delivering everybody to Freddy, supposedly. Right. So she gets trapped in her seat, and then Freddy very slowly and calculatingly takes the apple and he slices the skin off because he's now the teacher. Yep. So he slowly ambles towards Sheila, and he takes her glasses off, like really seductively. Wanna suck face? And he starts making out with her, and you see her face just start to like char, dude. Like, and her hands look like saggy rubber gloves.
Oh my god!
And her eyes, which is the freakiest thing. Shit, kind of freaky. Like one is solid black, and the other is kind of like this cataract color. And he sucks her dry. She wilts and falls away like an empty husk. She looks like an extra from one of those freaky creatures in the basement of We Are Still Here. Remember that film?
Yes, yeah, totally.
She looks. That's what she looks like at the end of this.
God, it's so gross.
I just thought that was this really almost made my list.
Yeah, no, I remember you talking about that one, and it's a really cool, creative one for sure.
Oh yeah, and the other one is from not everybody's favorite one for sure. But like I said, the rewatchability factor here. It's Jesse from the 2010 remake, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, that's right.
It has such an old school feel, man, of the boiler room, the huge, elaborate boiler room scene. It's well made. There's little kids in cages that are watching him.
Yep.
And Jesse finds Chris, who is essentially the Tina character of this remake. And he finds her, and he's looking at her, and he goes, "Chris, oh, God." And Freddy goes, "No, just me." "Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet."
Oh, my God.
It's just some of the way like the way Jackie Earle Haley, man. He's a great actor. I mean, just fantastic actor. Yeah. He got his start in Bad News Bears with
oh, that's right.
With Tatum O'Neal back in the 70s.
He was the kid on the motorbike, right?
Yeah, and then he was in some movie, Little Creatures or something, and he was like a pedophile character in it. I think he was even nominated for an Academy Award for that film. So Freddy disappears, and Jesse's looking all around, and he can't see anything. Then there's like this medium long shot, and then bam, like Jason fisting Hans in the beginning of Part 6, Friday 6. His glove comes exploding through Jesse's chest, man, from the back. And then he hangs him like upside down, and he goes, "Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps functioning for well over 7 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
We still got 6 more minutes to play." He sounds like, he ends up sounding like fucking Mr. Vargas from Fast Times, but it's brutal, man. It's freaky.
It's a freaky
man. The way
kill,
he delivers
man.
the lines. Yeah, it's really freaky. So that's what I got.
That's
Mikey.
awesome. One more I wanted to mention. You kind of mentioned a bunch that were on my list too. Joey, like the hot chick, and then all of a sudden, we hear something under his bed, and they got that great song by Billy Idol playing. And
yes,
he
that was in our Instagram
promo. And he peels back the covers, and there's the hot chick in the waterbed, almost like a mermaid, even though she's just like a chick. And then obviously it goes awry from there. But I just love that scene because I used to have a waterbed in high school, and I remember watching that that scene and being like, oh my God, and then being a little freaked out sleeping in my waterbed that night. But that's
great.
That's
scene.
another great one.
Great
Yeah,
scene.
it's cool. Very creative.
I mean, listen, if you have a character coming back from a different film, you got to do something, right?
Yeah.
And they did it with Joey. With Kincaid, I mean, they set up this elaborate scene with him, in this in the abandoned car lot or whatever, and it just doesn't. There's no payoff. He just kind of stabs him, and it's just like he's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. This big elaborate setup, and then there's no delivery for me.
Right.
But Joey was a good one,
yeah.
man. How
It was
she
good.
disappears off the poster.
Yeah,
That's so great.
Yeah, I love it, man. It was really, really fun. So that's good, man. It's some great. It's a great series to revisit. I think you just got the Blu-ray box set, right? So it's
Yes.
it's fun. It's a fun series to go back and sort of watch in order, and you just really appreciate it, man. It's just some really creative kills and some great special effects.
So much fun.
Yeah, Freddy's such an icon, you know what I mean? It's like it's definitely one of those things that in horror we're lucky to have,
Dude, I can't thank you enough for getting this podcast going so we could talk about this stuff.
Someone has something to say. Hold on. Freddy's saying, "Let's be friends."
Let's be friends.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to do our commentary track too. It's gonna be super fun.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
We might also be sticking another episode somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere
we might do a little shorter episodes just to kind of throw in there,
Yeah, we talked about doing little mini episodes. And I think that's a really cool idea when you have something that we want to talk about, and I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, it'll be good. Just quick little things people can listen to, on the drive to the grocery store or something, just something.
Just keep people nibbling.
That's nibbling. There's that word again, nibbling. Nibbling the nourishing nipple of nostalgia, Matty.
Mike, the nipple has needs, man. It has needs.
Awesome. Well, before we get going, Matty's going to leave us with something, I think, right, Matty?
Yes. If you find yourself alone in that darkness and a sudden cold fills the space around you, you're left to wonder, is it the icy finger of loneliness caressing your skin, or is it something else? Like maybe something from out of a dream, perhaps? Or a nightmare? And as your mind adjusts to this new poisonous possibility, this terrifying truth, there now seems to be not one, but 5 cold fingers raking across your naked flesh. These fingers are sharp like nails. No, not nails. Like knives. As I see it, you have 2 choices. Jolt immediately for a light source and try to meet this horror head on. Or you could close your eyes, lock them up tight, try to pretend like none of it's actually happening. But remember, if you choose option 2, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you guys soon, all right? Take care.
Bye-bye.